Assalamu alaikum, dear friends, and welcome back to the channel where we talk about all things dua and productivity and how those can change our lives. This is a reminder to myself first. These are words that I need to hear myself. And today we're talking about the feeling of being behind in life. First things first, the feeling of being behind is not actually a bad thing if you think about it. What could be problematic is how we approach the feeling of being behind. For some of us, it's not a bad thing because when we do feel behind, we are just like, no, 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 this isn't for me. I want better for myself and I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? But then there are a few other different approaches that people take when they start to feel stuck. So let's divide these up into three categories. I'm just going to call them category A, B, and C. So category A people, they feel crushed by the heaviness of, I'm still not where I want to be. And so they do nothing about it. They say things like, it's too far, there's no way I'm going to get there, I just won't bother, right? Category B people, they try to do something about their situation. And, they try a lot. But then they give up when the going gets tough or when motivation fades. And so they start and then stop and then start and then stop. And they end up feeling like they're going around in circles. I have a feeling most of us fall into category B. We say things like, it's too hard, I can't do it, I'll try again tomorrow, things like that, right? And then there's category C people who complain and complain and complain about their situation to anyone who would listen, but then they wake up the next day and they keep on settling. They say things like, I really want it, but yeah, whatever, this is just the way it's supposed to be, right? But then if staying stagnant or giving up or feeling sorry for yourself have not made a difference yet, don't you think it's time to do things differently? Before we dive deeper, I want to take a few seconds to remind you and myself that you are allowed to feel sad about your situation. You are allowed to grieve. By the way, if I start crying, just ignore. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to take one step forward and two steps back. You are allowed to mess things up a bit. This is all part of the package. Yeah, so yes, go ahead, grieve the past and even the present if you need to. Feel the feelings about how you wish things could have been, but don't stay stuck in your grief. Allow yourself to grow around your grief instead. You're not where you want to be, I know, but that's okay. There's wisdom in that, okay? So now let's talk about the five things that we can do or that we can consider when we are feeling behind in life, okay? The first thing to consider is mindset. Right now, I'm in a very behind place, rather in a place where I'm feeling behind a lot. It's whew. And it's like what happens with this, feeling sometimes is it's everything at once. It feels like everything is, crashing at once and it's like a waterfall kind of thing, right? In my case right now, there's motherhood and then there's homeschooling and then there's, just so many things. And it feels like everything is pointing fingers at me and laughing the wicked laugh in my face, making me feel like I'm just failing badly, right? What I keep telling myself, or I was telling myself, you know what, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. This stuff is not for me. Adulthood, blah, 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 right? Because usually when we feel stuck, what happens is your inner chatter, it makes you feel even more stuck, right? And of course, don't ask me how I know this. So you tell yourself things like, you're too old, you're not good enough, you're this, you're that. But then, what do you think will happen when you flip the inner chatter script? What do you think will happen when you and I start to believe that it's possible to be leaps and bounds ahead of where we are right now, as long as we're willing to stay committed and to play the long game? What do you think will happen if you start telling yourself, I'm right where I need to be? Because where I am right now is where I need to be to take that sweet leap forward, idhnillah. And so, right now, these days, I'm telling myself, you know what? I can. I'm no longer saying, you know what, I can't. I'm saying, you know what, I can. Because it's true, it's true. I can, bi'idhnillah. Like, I have Allah, right? I'm also taking baby steps to prove that to motherhood and homeschooling and everything in between, and I may or may not be pointing fingers and laughing at them too. So, the next thing or the second thing that you can consider when you're feeling behind is this idea of one thing. Okay, so the first rule of behindism is don't try to solve every problem at once, just don't do it. And yes, behindism is a word that I made up, okay? So if you are like some people I know, you're a pro at beating yourself up for everything that goes wrong, and you do it all at once. You know how it goes. You're maybe laying in bed, scrolling and scrolling, you're not really paying attention to whatever it is that is on your screen. Your mind is 100% on how behind you are in life, and your eyes see many things that remind you of that fact as well as you scroll. You're questioning yourself. Why do I still not have it all together when so many other people have it all figured out, right? And then you enter panic mode and you try to change your whole life in a week. Whew, understanding high five. You are not alone, my dear friend, because this scenario is a shortcut to category B, where you start and stop and you eventually give up, right? What you could do instead, like instead of trying to fix everything at once, is you could tackle one thing at a time. So figure out what one thing you want to change or improve or work on, and then go all in on that one thing. For ease, I like to split this up into deen, relationships, health, and wealth. So, is it something about my health that I want to work on? Is it something about my deen that I want to work on? What is that one thing that I'm just going to focus on? What is one thing that is on your long list of I feel behind in life that you want to turn into a project for the next quarter, maybe, or honestly, even for the next week? At different points in my life, I decided to overhaul my morning routine. At another point, I decided to go all in and focus on my salah, improving that. One time it was my health, one time it was my business, right? And I turned them into projects. You guys may know the 12-week diet challenge is, is how we do things around here, subhanallah. So these days, it's the mother in me that is tugging at my heart. She needs my attention. I'm like so ready, inshallah, to roll up my mama sleeves because I just want to show up better. I just want to show up with ihsan, which means excellence. So, what area of your life needs your attention, and what's one area that you're going to be focusing on for the next little while? Okay, thing number three to do or to consider is dua. Dua is it's should be number one, number zero actually. But yes, so dua. Set yourself a daily or a weekly rule to make dua from your heart about your situation and do not break your own rule, okay? Because how can you not make dua when Allah is all you have? How can dua not be like your go-to, when we have Allah? How can we not call on Him when we have Him? Because we do have Allah, right? I mean, sometimes we feel like, especially when we're feeling stuck, we feel like, oh no, who can help me? Where can I go? What do I have to hold on to? The thing is, we have Allah. Maybe we forget sometimes, but this is our reminder. We have Allah and we can call on Him anytime, right? A simple way to start a dua habit is by making tahajjud a part of your weekly routine. Before we get deeper into that, I just want to share a hadith about tahajjud, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said, "Our Lord Almighty descends to the lowest heaven in the last third of every night, saying, 'Who is calling upon me that I may answer him? Who is asking from me that I may give him? Who is seeking my forgiveness that I may forgive him?'" The tahajjud is such a gift, subhanAllah. So set your alarm far away from your bed so that you just don't snooze. Wake up for tahajjud and tell Allah you feel stuck. Vent, cry, pour your heart out to Him. Ask Him to ease your affairs and to guide you to what's right for you, right? Tahajjud is such a beautiful opportunity that shows up every 24 hours, yet only a few people take advantage of it. I pray that Allah makes you and me among the people that do take advantage of it, and I pray that we show up with full presence and consistency. Okay, so number four thing to consider is productivity. The thing with this is a lot of us, we don't really pay much attention to it. We do say, oh, I procrastinate a lot and things like that, right? And you know how it goes. Like, you know that you need to get organized in your business, for example, but then you're like, tomorrow. You know that you want to sign up for maybe Quran classes, but then again, tomorrow. Or you know that you need to fully focus on your weight loss journey, but then tomorrow, right? Whew, understanding high five again. And again, you're not alone, okay? I want you to get curious with me for a moment. What would it be like if you could block off 1 hour every day for your one thing, right? Do you think spending 1 to 3 hours consistently working on figuring out or implementing that one thing will make a difference? I think it will. An easy way to find that 1 hour or two or three is by reclaiming the pockets of time that you already have in your day. Those 30 minutes of scrolling before bed and those other 30 minutes right after you wake up in the morning are excellent starting points. What do you think? The fifth thing to consider is this idea of my lane, my pace. My psychology teacher shared this, I think it was on the last day of our classes and the whole course was ending. And this was her advice to us because we were in a place where we're like, okay, where do we go next? What do we do next? Trying to figure things out. And she said, you know what? My lane, my pace. Like, just remember that. Okay. And I'm passing that on to you as well. Remember to stay in your lane. Remember to go at your pace because this whole thing is not a race and it's not a competition. There's no timeline that you should be working with. Like, remember what we said about you are right where you need to be right now, right? And the only person that you would want to compete against is yourself. So if you showed up as yesterday, you may want to show up with ihsan today, right? That's how you win. And remember that it's not too late and you are not too old. You've got this, inshallah, my dear friend. I know you've got this. Just keep going, one step at a time, inshallah. May Allah ease your affairs. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.